The world fades into stillness as you begin to drift. Whispers of toil. Drifting through the darkest labors of the medieval world. Close your eyes and let the centuries fade. The wind sighs across a sleeping medieval village, brushing the rooftops of thatched cottages as the moonlight spills across silent fields. A lone bell tolls from a distant tower, its sound trembling through the fog like an old memory that refuses to die. Inside those crooked homes, candles flicker against walls stained by years of smoke. The air smells of rain and earth, of bread cooling by the hearth, of sweat and ash, and something ancient, the rhythm of lives lived in hardship and grace. The Middle Ages are often painted in colors of romance, knights in shining armor, kings in grand halls, and saints beneath stained glass. Yet behind the poetry lies the pulse of the real, the sound of pickaxes biting stone, of hands calloused by endless work, of breaths drawn through the stench of decay. It was an age not merely of chivalry, but of survival, where beauty was carved from struggle and faith was often the only light that pierced the dark. In that quiet world, countless souls labored unseen. They emptied the filth of cities, tended the sick, dug graves for the fallen, and bore burdens that history soon forgot. Their names are lost, yet their echoes remain. The Gong Farmer with his bucket beneath the stars, the leech collector wading through cold marshes, the Plague Burier who met death with every shovel's turn. They were the bones beneath the beauty, the quiet architects of endurance. Listen closely, and their suffering hums like a lullaby, not of despair, but of endurance. Theirs is the music of existence itself, the shuffle of feet across mud, the whisper of prayers in the dark, the tender persistence of hands that refused to stop. It is strangely comforting, like rain on an old roof, a rhythm that reminds us that even the most wretched labors hold fragments of meaning, fragments of humanity. So drift with me now through that misted age. Let us walk softly among the forgotten and see what it meant to live, to work, and to endure when life itself was both a burden and a blessing. To explore the absolute worst jobs in medieval history and more is to look past the golden glow of legend and into the grit of real existence. For every shining castle, there was a trench. For every banquet, a kitchen blazing with smoke and sweat. History remembers kings and poets, but it was the nameless who kept the world alive, those whose hands turned soil, scraped filth, and carried the weight of every ordinary day. This exploration invites us to stand where they stood, amid the mud, the cold, and the endless rhythm of necessity. The Gong Farmer's torchlight gleams off the walls of filth. The Plague Burier's spade cuts through the damp earth of sorrow. The fuller stomps his bare feet into tubs of foul water to cleanse the garments of the wealthy. Each task, though vile and forgotten, tells a truth more profound than any legend, that survival has always been built upon the backs of the unseen. Yet there is something deeply human here. In the stench, there is sacrifice. In the exhaustion, dignity. To imagine these people is to feel a strange tenderness. For though centuries have passed, we still live upon their labor. Their misery, preserved in history's dim corners, becomes a mirror reflecting our own endurance, our own quiet grace beneath the weight of time. As we descend into the heart of the Middle Ages, let us not look away from their suffering. Instead, let us listen, gently, compassionately, to the whispers of those who built the world while no one watched. The night worker, the Gong Farmer. When the village sleeps beneath its quilt of fog, one man still moves through the quiet, slow and steady, like a shadow that refuses to fade. The air is cool and heavy, and the distant hoot of an owl trembles above the rooftops. The streets are empty, washed pale by moonlight. Every window is dark, every door is shut. The world above dreams, but beneath its surface, life continues in silence. In his hand, he carries a small oil lantern, its flame trembling against the breeze. The light dances softly across his face, worn by years, patient and still. He walks toward the far end of the town where the cobbles turn to dirt, where the air smells faintly of damp stone and something older. His steps echo faintly in the night, each one slow, unhurried, as though keeping rhythm with the steady pulse of the earth itself. At last he stops beside a wooden hatch. It is low to the ground, reinforced with iron, and beneath it lies the hidden world that few would ever wish to see. He sets down the lantern, its light spilling gently over the ground, and unties a coarse cloth to cover his mouth. His movements are quiet, careful, familiar. The hinges groan as the hatch opens, releasing a deep, heavy breath of air. Thick, sour, filled with the memory of everything left behind. He doesn't flinch. He has known this scent for as long as he can remember. It clings to his clothes, his skin, even his dreams. It is part of him, as inescapable as his shadow. He lowers the lantern first, its faint glow sinking into the darkness below. Then, gripping the sides of the hatch, he descends. The ladder creaks softly, his boots touch the damp earth at the bottom, and the sound of the surface fades away. Down here, the world feels smaller, a chamber of stone and silence. The air is thick with the scent of decay, the weight of years pressing down. Moisture glimmers along the walls, and tiny drops of water fall from above, echoing softly like distant rain. He stands for a moment, listening. The silence is alive, not empty, but full of slow, breathing stillness. Then he begins to work. His shovel moves through the darkness with practiced rhythm. Each motion is deliberate. Dig, lift, pour. The sound is quiet, almost tender. The faint scrape of metal against stone, the dull thud of weight settling into a bucket. He pauses only to wipe his brow, the cloth at his face damp with sweat. The lantern's flame flickers, casting his shadow against the wall, bending and stretching as if it too is working beside him. The space is tight. He must stoop as he moves, careful not to let the walls close in. The air is heavy, laced with unseen gas, but he breathes through it as one breathes through fog, slow and shallow. His heartbeat stays steady. There is no rush. The work cannot be hurried, it can only be endured. He lifts each full bucket toward the rope above, where another pair of hands will haul it away. Then he fills another, and another. Time ceases to have meaning. There is only the steady repetition, the movement of muscle and breath. Above ground, the stars drift across the sky. The world sleeps on, unaware of the labor that keeps it clean, the unseen hands that lift its burden. He does not think of glory or shame. He does not think of what others might say. There is only the task before him, the patience of doing what must be done. Perhaps that is a kind of peace, to know one's place, to accept it without question. When the first faint glimmer of morning filters through the cracks above, he stops. His arms ache, but his spirit is calm. He wipes the sweat from his brow, leaves his tools where they rest, and begins the slow climb upward. The air grows cooler as he rises. The lantern, tied to his belt, swings gently against his leg, its flame dim but steady. As his head breaks the surface, he breathes in deeply, a lungful of fresh dawn air. It tastes of dew and bread and smoke from distant hearths. The sky above is pale, washed with the softest hint of rose. He steps out, closing the hatch behind him. The sound of the latch clicks softly, a punctuation to his night's work. Around him, the village is beginning to wake. A rooster calls somewhere beyond the walls. A window creaks open. The faint sound of someone stoking a fire drifts through the still air. The cobblestones gleam faintly with moisture, and in that early light, everything looks clean, untouched, renewed. He stands for a moment, watching the world return to itself. No one sees him. No one will know that while they slept peacefully in their beds, he was beneath their feet, moving through the dark, tending to what they would rather forget. His labor is invisible, but without it their comfort could not exist. There is no reward waiting for him, no praise, no thanks. And yet there is something in his eyes that is not bitterness. It is a quiet kind of grace, born from endurance, from the knowledge that every dawn he brings is, in some small way, his own. He lifts the lantern, its flame now only a thread of gold, and turns down the narrow lane. His footsteps are soft. The wind stirs faintly, carrying with it the scent of morning bread. He passes through the alley, past the baker's door, past the first child peering sleepily from a window. The sun rises behind him, spilling light into the world he has kept clean. His figure grows smaller until it disappears around the corner, swallowed by the gentle brightness of day. By the time the village is fully awake, he is gone. The streets are fresh. The air is pure. The people begin their routines, never knowing the man who worked through the night beneath their dreams. He will sleep now as they move through their daylight. And when the moon returns, he will rise again to descend once more into the quiet earth, to keep the world clean, to carry its weight in silence. The morning continues, calm and ordinary. A new day begins. The Gong Farmer rests unseen as the light moves gently across the walls, and the flame of his lantern finally fades into sleep. The dawn gatherer, the leech collector. The world is quiet beneath the first breath of morning. Mist drifts low over the water, soft and silver, curling through the reeds like silk unraveling in slow motion. The air smells of moss and rain and something ancient, the scent of stillness before the day begins. In that pale, trembling light, a woman stands knee-deep in the pond. Her figure is calm, unmoving, a dark silhouette against the faint shimmer of dawn. The surface of the water quivers around her legs, reflecting the ghost of her shape, rippling with every small breath of wind. She does not speak. There is no need for sound here. The world is hushed, listening. Even the birds have not yet found their song. Her hands are rough but graceful, resting loosely at her sides. The water laps against her skin, cool and patient. Beneath the surface, unseen things stir. A small movement here, a flicker there, the slow pulse of life hidden in the depths. She knows what waits for her. She has done this since she was young, since the days when her mother stood where she stands now, still and steady in the morning mist. The leeches come quietly, drawn by warmth, by the faint hum of blood beneath her skin. They move through the water with a kind of grace, gliding like smoke, soft and deliberate. When they touch her, she does not flinch. A faint tremor passes through her body, but she remains still, letting them find their place, letting them feed. It is an old rhythm, this silent exchange between flesh and creature. The sting is sharp at first, then fades to a dull ache, then to nothing at all. Her eyes are half closed, The world narrows to sound and sensation. The distant drip of water, the whisper of reeds brushing together, the beating of her own slow heart. The sun has not yet risen, but the sky has turned from black to grey, then to a faint, bruised blue. The mist thickens, wrapping her in its pale folds. She waits, patient, unhurried. The pond accepts her presence as part of itself. When she feels that the time is right, she lifts one foot from the mud, careful and deliberate. Small black shapes cling to her legs, each one glistening in the dim light. She bends down, her fingers steady, and gently removes them one by one. The touch is tender, almost affectionate. Each leech curls and writhes in her palm, its tiny body slick and alive. She places them into a glass jar filled with clear water. The sound they make, a soft plink, plink, is delicate as raindrops. The jar glows faintly in the light of dawn, a small world of movement and breath. She knows each ripple, each shadow beneath the surface. The pond speaks to her in its own slow language, and she listens, not with her ears, but with her patience. There is no hurry, there never is. The work depends on waiting, on stillness, on knowing the weight of time. It is not an easy life, but it is a life she understands. The leeches are her livelihood, her connection to the world that rarely looks her way. As the horizon brightens, the fog begins to lift. The first golden edge of the sun appears, stretching across the pond. Light breaks apart on the surface, scattering into 1,000 trembling shards. The woman straightens her back, her body stiff from the cold water. Droplets cling to her skin, catching the sunlight as if she were made of glass. She ties the cloth tighter around her legs, stained now with faint red marks, but she does not seem to notice. The pain is small, familiar, nothing compared to the comfort of the morning air. She lifts the jars one by one, holding them up to the light. Inside, the leeches twist lazily, their bodies glimmering like ribbons of ink. The glass catches the sunrise, turning gold, turning pink, turning clear again. The sight is strangely beautiful, life caught between light and water, between need and survival. She watches for a moment, her face soft, her eyes reflecting the same calm as the pond. Then with careful steps she makes her way toward the shore. The mud pulls gently at her feet, reluctant to let her go. Grass brushes against her knees as she reaches the bank. The world around her is waking now. A bird calls from the treetops, another answers. The mist retreats across the fields, leaving behind droplets that sparkle on every blade of grass. She walks slowly through them, each step heavy with water, each breath filled with the cool sweetness of morning. Her skirt clings to her legs, her hair damp and curling at the edges. In her hands, the jars clink softly together, their contents swirling with motion. She moves across the meadow, through the low fog that still lingers like a dream not yet ready to fade. Her body is tired, but her heart is quiet. This too is part of the rhythm. Work and rest, darkness and dawn. As the sun rises higher, she pauses to look back once more at the pond. The surface is smooth again, calm and shining, as if her presence there had been nothing but a passing thought. The ripples she made are gone, but she knows they were real. She smiles faintly, almost invisible, and continues walking. The jars in her hands glow in the sunlight, tiny worlds of their own. Each one hums with quiet life. The glass catches the light and scatters it across her path, little fragments of morning dancing at her feet. She walks on, the sound of her steps soft against the wet earth, the air around her shimmering with warmth and peace. By the time the village roofs appear in the distance, the mist has completely lifted. The sky is clear, bright, endless. The woman's pace slows. She wipes her brow, exhales, and the sound is gentle, almost like a sigh of relief. The jars sway lightly as she carries them, the water inside glimmering like liquid gold. In this simple ritual hour, this patient waiting, this quiet gathering, there is something eternal. Something that hums beneath the noise of the world. Her life, small and humble as it is, flows with that same rhythm. Steady, enduring, necessary. And as she disappears into the brightness of day, the pond behind her returns to silence, its surface once again smooth, still, and infinite. The silent earth, the Plague Burier. Beyond the city walls, where the noise of life fades to nothing, there lies a stretch of land silent and bare. The air is still, heavy with the scent of soil and smoke, the last whispers of a dying day drifting over the fields. Here, in this quiet distance from the living, a man stands alone beside a pit. The ground beneath his feet is soft, freshly turned, and the faint cry of a crow drifts through the pale sky above. He grips the handle of his shovel, its wood smooth from years of use, and begins to dig. The sound is slow, measured. The soft break of earth, the dull thud of dirt against dirt. Each movement falls into rhythm with his breathing, a pattern so constant that it feels older than thought. There are no words here, no prayers, no cries. Only the sound of the shovel biting into the ground and the faint hiss of wind threading through the grass. He works as the light fades, his shadow stretching long and thin across the field. The soil gives way beneath him, layer after layer, dark and cold. He pauses sometimes, leaning on the handle of the shovel, his chest rising and falling in the quiet. The horizon glows faintly, a smear of gold sinking into the grey of evening. In the distance, the outline of the city walls stands like a sleeping giant, still and unmoved. Behind those walls, people close their doors, bar their shutters, whisper their fears. But out here, there is only him and the earth. His task is simple, necessary, endless. He wipes his brow with the back of his sleeve. The smell of freshly dug soil fills the air, deep, wet, and honest. His hands are blistered, his back stiff, but his movements remain steady, unhurried. He has long since learned not to think too much, not to listen too closely. The work demands silence, and he gives it willingly. The shovel rises, falls, rises again. The pit grows deeper, its edges soft and dark, the shape of it swallowing the light. When the hole is deep enough, he rests. The breeze shifts slightly, carrying with it a chill that clings to his skin. He looks toward the horizon, where the last band of sunlight stretches thin and fading. For a brief moment, the world feels suspended, a fragile balance between day and night, life and what waits beyond. He does not speak of it, does not name it. He simply knows it, as one knows the weight of their own shadow. In the cart nearby lie the shrouded forms of the dead. They are wrapped in rough cloth, tied at the ends with twine. The fabric moves slightly in the wind, soft and soundless. There is no ceremony, no farewell. The man lifts each one with careful strength, lowering them into the earth. The sound they make, the faint shift of fabric, the hush of air displaced, is the only acknowledgement they will have. One by one, he lays them side by side, a quiet order beneath the soil. He does not look away. He has seen too much to turn from it now. When all is done, he begins to cover them. The dirt falls softly, scattering like dry rain. The pit slowly fills, erasing the shapes below. Each handful of soil is both ending and mercy, each movement an act of closure. There is a strange peace in the work, a kind of rhythm that belongs only to those who labor with the finality of things. The earth accepts what it is given without question, and in that there is a quiet kindness. He smooths the ground when the pit is full, pressing it flat with the back of his shovel. The light has nearly vanished now, the sky a deep shade of indigo. The first stars tremble faintly overhead. He stands still for a long moment, his breath slow, his body heavy. The silence around him deepens, as if the world itself is holding its breath. At last, he sits down on a low mound nearby. His hands rest on his knees covered in soil. He looks out across the empty field, a stretch of dark earth glinting faintly under the new stars. The city wall looms far behind him, distant but watching. He does not feel anger nor sorrow, only a gentle weariness that sinks deep into his bones. He knows he will return tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after that. There will always be more to bury. For now, though, he allows himself to rest. The wind moves through the grass, soft as breath. Somewhere far away, a dog barks once, then falls silent. The scent of the earth clings to his skin, the faint metallic taste of labor lingering on his tongue. He looks down at the ground before him, smooth, still, complete, and feels a quiet kind of gratitude. Not joy, not pride, but the deep understanding that even in sorrow, there is purpose. When the chill of night deepens, he rises. The shovel rests across his shoulder as he turns toward home. The path is long, stretching through the dim light, and his steps are slow but certain. The faint glow of the town waits ahead, the promise of a small meal, a few hours of sleep, and another dawn to come. Behind him the field lies empty once more. The stars hang low above the horizon, and the freshly turned earth gleams faintly in their light. It is quiet there, as it has always been, as it always will be, a place where endings find their rest and the living learn to keep walking. The gentle water, the fuller. Beside a quiet stream, where the sound of flowing water hums like a lullaby, stands a small workshop made of rough timber and stone. The air is cool in the morning, scented with wet earth and soap and the faint sweetness of wool. Inside, a man works alone. His sleeves are rolled high, his skin pale from years without rest, his hands strong and worn. The sun has just begun to rise, its light slipping through the cracks in the wooden roof and scattering across the mist like spilled gold. Steam curls upward in thin ribbons, floating toward the open rafters where swallows nest in silence. In the center of the room sits a large wooden vat filled with murky water. The surface ripples faintly as the man steps into it, his bare feet sinking into the thick warmth. The smell is sharp, strange. The sour bite of ammonia, the musk of old fabric, the breath of living labor. It clings to everything, the walls, the floor, the man himself. Yet here, in this quiet corner of the world, it feels ordinary, almost comforting. He takes hold of a length of woolen cloth, heavy and dripping, and begins to tread. His feet move in steady rhythm, pressing, turning, twisting the fabric beneath the water. The cloth sighs softly with each movement, the sound of labor that is neither harsh nor hurried. Over and over he lifts and folds, the fibers loosening beneath his touch, the dirt and oil rising to the surface in cloudy swirls. The water changes color as he works, from pale gray to brown, from brown to something almost clear again. Sunlight filters through the gaps in the roof, turning the rising steam into soft beams of gold. Dust floats lazily through the air, catching the light like tiny flecks of silver. Outside, the stream gurgles gently, carrying away the runoff, the remnants of the day's first wash. The man keeps moving, slow and even, as though the act itself were a kind of meditation. His breath is quiet, his movements careful. The sound of water slapping against cloth becomes a rhythm, steady and deep, a heartbeat against the hum of the wind. Now and then, he pauses to wring the fabric between his hands, squeezing out the last of the grime. His muscles tighten with effort, veins tracing along his forearms, but his expression remains calm. He has done this for years. Each day the same, each motion memorized by the body. He does not count the hours. They pass like water, endless and unseen. The smell of the workshop thickens as the air warms. The scent of soap, of damp wool, of earth and labor mingle into something human, something ancient. The fulling vats creak softly under his weight. Outside, a bird begins to sing, its notes drifting in through the open door, light as morning air. The man does not stop. The rhythm continues, the same patient tread, the same quiet endurance. He remembers, perhaps, when the cloth was still rough, when it came from the hands of the spinner, coarse and raw. Now it is becoming something new, softer, cleaner, stronger beneath his care. There is a small beauty in that, even if no one will ever notice. The wool will dry, be dyed, be shaped into garments for those who will never know the name of the man who softened it. His work will vanish into theirs, like the water disappearing into the earth. By midday, the light inside the workshop grows brighter. The air shimmers faintly with heat. He stops for a moment, leaning against the edge of the vat, his breath steady, his eyes half closed. The surface of the water trembles gently around him, cloudy and warm. A strand of wool floats near his foot, pale as cream. The sound of the stream outside fills the silence, joined by the soft rustle of trees. Then quietly, he begins again. The day moves slowly, each moment folding into the next. The rhythm of his feet, the whisper of fabric, the sigh of steam, all blend together into one long, dreamlike song. He loses himself in it, drifting between wakefulness and something softer, where thought no longer stirs. It is not joy that keeps him here, nor pride, but the quiet truth of necessity. The world must have clean cloth, and someone must make it so. That someone is him. As the afternoon deepens, the water in the vat begins to clear. The smell grows lighter, almost sweet. He lifts the last piece of wool, heavy and gleaming with moisture, and drapes it over a wooden bar near the door. Sunlight pours through the opening, touching the fabric with warmth. One by one he hangs the finished pieces, pale lengths of cloth swaying gently in the breeze, their surfaces glimmering with droplets like morning dew. He watches as the wind passes through them, drying them, softening them further. The sound of flapping fabric mixes with the murmur of the stream, a lullaby for the end of the day. The golden light of late afternoon fills the room, fading slowly toward amber. He steps out of the vat, his legs weary, his feet pruned from hours of soaking. The floor beneath him creaks as he moves. He wipes his hands on his apron and stands at the doorway, watching the light settle over the hills. The last of the steam drifts upward, curling away into the open sky. The air smells cleaner now, lighter. He breathes deeply, his body heavy but calm. The cloth behind him moves like ghosts in the fading sun, alive for one last moment before night returns. When the shadows stretch long across the ground, he gathers his tools and closes the workshop. The sound of the door echoing shut is soft, final, peaceful. Outside, the stream continues its gentle song. The man walks home through the field, his pace unhurried, his hands rough and clean. The scent of wool and water follows him, faint and comforting. The day fades behind him like a sigh, and the world grows quiet once more. The turning wheel. The treadwheel operator. On the edge of a rising city, where the scent of dust and sunlight mingle, a great wooden wheel turns slowly in the heat. Its groaning rhythm fills the air, a low and steady song of effort and endurance. The sound of creaking beams echoes against the stone walls of an unfinished tower, blending with the faint cries of gulls drifting over the river. Beneath the pale morning sky, the world is alive with movement, hammers striking, ropes tightening, the murmur of labor woven into the hum of the wind. Inside the vast treadwheel, a man walks. His bare feet press against the wooden planks, darkened by years of use, polished by countless steps. Each movement is heavy, deliberate. The wheel responds, turning with a slow, powerful grace. Every rotation lifts a block of stone upward along the pulley line, guiding it toward the growing wall above. The air smells of sweat and limestone. The man's breathing matches the rhythm of the wheel. Deep, even, patient. It is the breath of someone who has long forgotten to measure time. Sunlight filters through the gaps between the planks, striping the interior with bands of gold and shadow. Dust floats in the air, turning lazily as if caught in a slow dance. Outside, voices call to one another, ropes tighten, a hammer strikes. But within the wheel, there is only the soft thud of his steps and the low groan of wood bending beneath weight. It is a world unto itself, a circle of effort, a cradle of endless motion. The man's body sways slightly with each turn. His muscles shift under the skin, glistening with sweat, his face calm despite the strain. He knows exactly how to keep the balance, how to move without stumbling, how to listen for the subtle tremor that tells him when to slow, when to steady. To others, it might look like punishment, like toil without pause, but to him it has become something quieter, a rhythm of existence, as natural as breathing, as constant as the beating of his heart. From outside, the wheel seems immense, its spokes stretching upward like the ribs of some giant beast. The sun glints along its edges, casting long shadows across the construction yard. Men shout, guiding ropes as the heavy stones rise, swinging in the air. Slowly, the new wall takes shape, bright and raw against the horizon, and still the wheel turns. The wind slips through the open planks, bringing the scent of stone dust and pine sap. Birds circle above, their wings flashing white in the light. The man inside glances once toward the small opening where the day streams in, then lowers his eyes again to the moving floor beneath his feet. His thoughts drift like the wind, not of riches, not of glory, but of the steady simplicity of motion. There is a strange peace in this confinement, in this slow, predictable pattern. Each step has meaning. Each turn accomplishes something that will outlast him. Hours pass without notice. The sunlight shifts from white to amber, from the brightness of noon to the soft gleam of afternoon. Shadows lengthen. The wooden wheel creaks in a deeper tone now, the ropes grown taut with the weight of another stone nearing its final height. The man wipes his brow with the back of his arm, smearing the dust into his skin. He breathes in, breathes out. The rhythm continues. Sometimes, when he listens closely, he can hear the distant murmur of the river below, the soft hiss of wind moving through the scaffolding, the faint song of a bird perched somewhere unseen. The world beyond feels far away, as though he moves through a dream of wood and light and breath. The stone rises, the wall grows taller, and his steps, small, constant, are what carry it upward. As the sun leans westward, the air cools. The golden light slants through the boards, spilling across his shoulders, warm and soft. The foreman outside calls for the ropes to hold. The wheel slows. Its groaning fades to a whisper, then to stillness. The man stops walking. His chest heaves once, twice, and then his breathing steadies. For a moment, he simply stands there in the quiet. His hands rest against the inner curve of the wheel, feeling the warmth of the sun still lingering in the wood. Then he steps out. The sudden brightness of the open air stings his eyes. The world seems larger now, louder. Voices, laughter, the rustle of cloth in the breeze. He blinks, adjusts to the light, and sits on a low stone nearby. The wheel behind him casts a vast shadow, unmoving for now. Above, the new wall gleams pale and proud, its edges smooth, each block perfectly aligned. He watches it for a long time, the way one watches a child grow. Each stone he helped lift is there, silent but solid, a small piece of proof that his labor has shape. The others go on working, carrying, hauling, shouting. But he sits quietly, his body heavy, his thoughts light. The ache in his legs feels almost pleasant, a reminder that he has done what he was meant to do. The sun drifts lower, turning the dust in the air to gold. Shadows stretch across the yard. A breeze stirs, cool and kind, brushing his face and carrying with it the scent of the river. Somewhere, a bell rings, the signal that the day is ending. He rises slowly, wiping his hands on his trousers, and looks once more at the wheel. Soon it will turn again, and he will walk, the same rhythm, the same quiet labor, the same endless circle of motion and rest. But for now, in this soft hour between day and night, everything is still. The sky glows faintly pink. The tower catches the last light, gleaming like a promise. The man breathes in, long and deep, and lets the air go. The world feels vast, and yet perfectly calm. And as the shadows settle and the sound of the river deepens, he closes his eyes for a moment, allowing himself the smallest gift, the peace of stopping, the silence after the turning of the wheel. The silent hunter, the rat catcher. In the narrow veins of the old city, where the air hangs thick with damp and smoke, a man walks slowly beneath the pale light of his lantern. The flame sways with each step, spilling trembling gold upon the walls. Walls cracked and darkened by centuries of rain and soot. The cobblestones glisten faintly under his feet, slick from the evening mist. The alley twists and narrows, swallowing the sound of the world beyond. Here, where the streets sleep and no one dares to linger, he begins his work. In one hand he carries a burlap sack. In the other, a small wooden box filled with crumbs of stale bread and bits of cheese. The scent of the bait mingles with the musk of old stone, with the distant sweetness of decay. The man's eyes move carefully through the dark, searching, always searching. He knows these alleys as others know their own homes, every crack, every drain, every shadow where something small and quick might hide. His footsteps are quiet, measured, the rhythm of someone who must not disturb what he hunts. From somewhere close there is a rustle, the faint patter of tiny feet, the squeak of hunger in the dark. He freezes, the lantern flickers, a shape darts along the wall, fast as breath, a ripple of fur and tail vanishing into a hole. He sets down his trap gently, without sound, and sprinkles a few crumbs inside. His hands move with patience born of habit. There is no rush. In this trade, the night is long, and everything comes in its own time. The light of the lantern sways again as he straightens. Around him, the alley is alive with whispers. The quiet drip of water from the eaves, the soft sigh of the wind through broken shutters, the secret scurrying beneath the cobbles. It is a hidden world, one only he belongs to. The people who live above these streets do not see it, do not wish to. But he walks among it like a shadow, unseen, necessary. He moves on deeper into the maze. The moonlight glances off a puddle, reflecting his face for a fleeting moment, lined, tired, yet calm. He is not a man who expects thanks. The rats do not vanish because of him alone, and yet without his quiet hands, the sickness would return, the panic would spread. His work lives in silence, in the spaces between what others notice. He pauses beneath a crumbling archway. There, he kneels and sets another trap, this one near a pile of barrels where the air smells faintly of grain. The rats will come for that. They always do. He sprinkles more crumbs, waits for a moment, then moves on. The sack at his side shifts slightly, a faint rustle from within. He does not look down. He has grown used to that sound, to the small weight of what he has caught. Life and death in the same motion, simple as breathing. Hours pass in the company of the night. The lantern's flame burns low, the oil within almost gone. The city above dreams on, unaware of the quiet labor beneath. Somewhere, a church bell tolls once, far away, marking the hour before dawn. The man stops to rest, leaning against the cold stone wall. His breath steams in the chill air. For a moment, he listens, not to the scurry of rats, but to the deep, peaceful hum of the sleeping city. He remembers when he was young, when the streets were new to him, when fear walked beside him on nights like this. Now there is only familiarity, almost tenderness. He knows the rhythm of these creatures, the places they hide, the way their eyes gleam like shards of black glass in the dark. They are not his enemies, not really. Only part of the endless cycle he must tend to. When he feels the faintest pull at the trap behind him, he turns slowly without surprise. The wooden latch has fallen shut. Another caught. He lifts the box gently, ties it closed with string, and lowers it into the sack. The sound it makes is small, barely a whisper. The flame of the lantern trembles once more, and he resumes walking. The eastern sky begins to pale. The stars grow faint. The mist drifts lower, gathering in folds across the ground. The man's shadow stretches long behind him as he steps from one alley into the next, collecting his final traps. Each one carries its quiet success. Another task completed, another corner cleared. The sack grows heavier, but his steps do not falter. He knows that soon the city will awaken, and he must be gone before it does. At last, he reaches the outer gate. The first light of dawn filters through the wooden beams, soft and grey. The air smells of morning. Cold stone, damp grass, smoke from distant fires being kindled. He stops for a moment and turns to look back. The city lies behind him, vast and still, its rooftops bathed in the faint blush of sunrise. Somewhere within those walls the markets will open, children will laugh, bakers will lift the lids from their ovens, unaware of the night's quiet guardian who kept their streets clean. He tightens the knot at the top of the sack, adjusts it over his shoulder, and steps forward. The gate creaks open, and he passes through. The noise of the waking world begins to rise, carts rolling, bells chiming, voices blending into the hum of day. His figure fades into the crowd, one among many, carrying his small burden without word or recognition. The sun climbs higher. The last of the mist burns away. Behind him, the alleys are empty, the traps reset, waiting for night to fall again. And somewhere beyond the walls, the rat-catcher walks, his lantern now dark, his work done until the stars return. The silent keeper of what others fear to face, moving forever between shadow and dawn. The quiet shadow, the whipping boy. Inside the wide stone walls of the castle, where footsteps echo softly across the marble floors, a boy sits alone by the window. The morning light seeps gently through the thin curtain, washing his face in a pale glow. Dust motes drift lazily in the beam, turning and shimmering like tiny ghosts of sunlight. Beyond the glass, the sky is calm, brushed in the muted silver of still air. The wind does not move, the banners hang quiet, and even the birds seem to rest. He sits very still. His small hands rest on the wooden table beside him, fingers tracing idle patterns in the dust. Somewhere far below, the sound of boots on stone drifts through the courtyard, the slow, even pace of guards making their rounds. He watches them from his window seat, the red of their cloaks flashing briefly as they turn the corners, then vanishing behind the tall archways. The sound of their steps rises, falls, and fades again, swallowed by the vastness of the halls. Time moves differently here. The castle hums with silence, heavy but not unkind. It is the kind of quiet that lingers like breath, deep, patient, eternal. The boy closes his eyes for a moment, listening. He can hear faint laughter somewhere in the distance, muffled by thick stone. Perhaps the prince is at study or at play. The boy knows the voice well. He has known it all his life. He breathes in slowly. The air smells of polished wood, of candle wax, of the faint chill of early afternoon. His tunic is neat, his hair combed smooth, his back straight as he sits. It is a practiced stillness, one he has learned over the years, the kind that belongs to someone who must always wait. Waiting has become part of him, a quiet rhythm beneath his thoughts. Outside the window, the sun climbs higher, casting long lines of gold across the courtyard stones. The guards change shifts. The bell in the tower rings once, its sound deep and full, rolling through the corridors like a heartbeat. The boy turns his gaze from the window and looks down at his hands. They are small but strong, the hands of someone used to endurance. He remembers mornings when the prince would sit beside him at lessons, their quills scratching in unison on parchment. They were close in age, bound together by duty rather than choice. One to rule, one to bear. When mischief came, as it often did, the prince's laughter would echo through the hallways, and soon after, the boy would be called. It was the way of things as fixed as the sun's path across the sky. But today is quiet. There is no laughter, no summons, only stillness. He leans against the wall, the cool stone pressing against his back. Through the window, he watches the slow drift of a cloud moving across the pale blue above the towers. The sound of the world feels distant, as though wrapped in soft cloth, muted and gentle. He thinks sometimes of what lies beyond the castle walls, the forests, the rivers, the open fields where the wind moves freely. He has seen them only in passing, through glass and gate. They seem like dreams that belong to another life. Here, his world is the quiet rhythm of days, the sound of footsteps, the toll of bells marking hours that never change. As the light fades toward evening, the warmth of the sun softens. Shadows stretch across the floor, long and graceful. The boy does not move. His eyes follow the patterns of light, the slow shifting of color on the stone. There is peace in the repetition, in knowing how the day will end, with the same sound, the same stillness, the same breath of time passing unnoticed. At last, The bell rings again. The evening call. Its tone is softer now, carrying through the corridors like a distant song. The boy exhales quietly, his shoulders easing. He rises from his seat, the faint creak of wood marking his movement. The air has cooled, the scent of the evening fires drifts faintly through the open hall beyond the door. He looks once more out the window before he leaves. The courtyard below is bathed in gold, then in shadow. The guards pass again, their torches flickering against the stone. The sky deepens to the color of dusk. The boy watches for a moment longer, then turns away. His steps are soundless as he crosses the room. The castle settles into twilight. The echo of the bell fades, leaving only silence, soft, patient, complete. Somewhere, deep within the stone halls, the boy's small figure disappears into the quiet as the world outside prepares to sleep. The pale fire, the lime burner. Across the open fields where the grass bends beneath the weight of night dew, a single flame burns against the dark. It flickers within a stone kiln, alive and restless, its orange light pulsing like the slow beat of a heart. The air is thick with the scent of smoke and heat and dust. In that lonely glow stands a man, his face lined by years, his eyes reflecting the dance of the fire. His hands are rough, calloused, blackened by soot. In silence, he works. He lifts a piece of wood and feeds it into the mouth of the kiln. The logs catch quickly, sparks spiraling upward in delicate trails. The sound of crackling fills the air, sharp, dry, familiar. Within the furnace, the limestone begins to hiss and pop, the sound like distant rain against stone. The flames swell and twist, their light stretching long shadows across the barren ground. There is no other sound but the fire's voice and the soft breath of wind moving through the grass. The man steps back, wiping the sweat from his brow with the back of his sleeve. The night is cool, but near the kiln, the air shimmers with heat. He breathes deeply, drawing in the smoky warmth as though it steadies him. The firelight paints his features in golden shadow, a face carved by labor, softened only by the quiet around him. He knows this rhythm well, the gathering of stone, the feeding of the fire, the waiting. Each stage demands patience, precision. Too little heat, and the rock stays whole. Too much, and it turns to useless ash. But tonight, the flames are steady, obedient. They move with purpose, devouring the wood, transforming what was solid into something new, a white dust, fine and fragile, that will one day build the walls of houses, line the graves of the dead, or mark the ground of sacred places. Above him, the sky spreads wide and endless. Stars glimmer faintly through the drifting smoke, their light pale beside the fierce orange below. The moon hangs low, its edge blurred by mist. The world beyond the fire is silent. No birds, no voices, only the whisper of the wind against the kiln's stone sides. Time slows until it feels like the night itself is holding its breath. He crouches near the fire again, adding more wood. The flames leap higher, licking at the rim of the kiln, turning the stones white with heat. The limestone cracks, shifts, and sighs, breaking down into the fine powder that is his trade. The man watches closely, his eyes tracing every movement, every shimmer of light. He has seen this transformation countless times, yet it still feels like something sacred. The slow unraveling of earth by flame. The smoke rises in pale ribbons, mingling with the mist that drifts low across the fields. It carries the faint scent of lime and ash, a dryness that catches in the throat. The man steps back once more, letting the fire breathe. He listens to its hum, its small, steady roar. In that sound there is both life and exhaustion. the echo of creation and decay entwined. Hours pass. The stars shift. The fire begins to dim. The fierce orange fades to a deep red, then to the faint glow of embers. The air cools. The ground, once warm beneath his feet, grows cold again. He waits until the last crackle dies, until the kiln settles into stillness. Then, with careful steps, he approaches. Inside, where the rocks once stood, there is only a fine white dust, soft as snow, pale as bone. He reaches out and touches it, the powder clinging to his fingers, light and smooth like chalk. He exhales slowly, the breath leaving him in a thin mist. The night has deepened now, the horizon is nothing but shadow. He brushes the dust from his hands, watches it drift away on the faint breeze. The air is filled with tiny specks of white, swirling upward like ghosts in the half-dark. For a moment, the world seems weightless, suspended between fire and silence. He straightens his back, his work done. The kiln smoulders softly behind him, glowing like the memory of light. He takes one last look at the drifting ash, at the quiet field shimmering under the faint moon, and turns away. His footsteps make no sound on the earth. The wind moves gently through the grass, carrying the last traces of smoke into the sky. Soon, only the smell of burnt wood remains, a whisper of labor, a trace of fire. The man disappears into the dark, leaving the kiln to cool, the ashes to rest. And over the quiet land, the white dust glows faintly under the stars, like breath that lingers long after the body has gone. The silent earth, the resurrectionist. The night is still, wrapped in a quiet so deep that even the trees seem to hold their breath. A thin mist drifts low across the graveyard, pale and silver beneath the light of the moon. The air is cool and damp, carrying the scent of wet soil and fading grass. In the distance, an owl calls once, then falls silent. Among the rows of crooked stones, a single figure moves, slow, careful, unseen. The man carries a shovel over his shoulder. Its metal edge catches the moonlight, a glint of cold silver against the dark. He stops beside a mound where the earth is newly turned. The stone at its head is clean, the carving still sharp with youth. He stands for a long moment, looking down, his breath forming thin clouds that vanish almost as soon as they appear. Then, without a word, he presses the shovel into the ground. The sound is soft, the faint, steady scrape of metal through soil. He works slowly, each motion measured and deliberate. The earth gives way beneath his hands, dark clumps falling aside, the scent of damp clay rising into the air. The shovel moves again and again, its rhythm blending with the quiet pulse of the night. Around him, the fog curls gently, folding over the graves like a blanket. There are no footsteps, no voices, no wind, only the muted thud of earth and the faint rustle of his breath. The moonlight drapes itself across his back, outlining the shape of a man accustomed to labor and silence. His clothes are plain, stained with dirt, his boots heavy and worn. Sweat gathers on his brow despite the chill. He pauses now and then to rest, leaning on the handle of the shovel, listening, always listening. But there is nothing to hear. The world beyond the cemetery sleeps, its people unaware that their rest is not as undisturbed as they believe. He returns to his work. The hole deepens, the pile of earth beside him grows. Beneath the surface, the air is colder, heavier. The scent of the soil changes, sharper, older. The man breathes through it, steady and unflinching. To him, this is not horror, not crime. It is necessity. It is survival. The city's doctors pay well for what they cannot find elsewhere. And the dead, he thinks, have no more need of their bodies. It is a trade of silence for coin, of earth for bread. After a time, the sound of metal strikes wood, a dull, hollow note. He stops. The moment hangs in the still air, fragile and slow. Then he crouches down, brushing away the last thin layer of soil with his hands. The coffin lies beneath him, its surface damp, the wood pale where it catches the light. He runs his fingers along the lid, feeling the rough grain beneath the dirt. For a moment, he hesitates. Not from fear, not from guilt, but from a kind of quiet respect. Then he sets to work again. The latch gives easily. The air that rises is cold and heavy, untouched by time above. He looks once, only once, and then moves with purpose. His motions are quick, practiced, almost tender. When the task is done, he lowers the lid again, fits it back in place, and begins to fill the hole. The earth falls softly, whispering as it lands, layer by layer covering what was disturbed. When at last the ground is level again, he smooths the surface with the flat of the shovel. The grave looks untouched, as though no hand had ever broken its rest. The mist gathers once more, curling around the stone, hiding the mark of his work. He stands there for a while, breathing slowly, his face pale in the moonlight. The only sound now is the faint hiss of distant wind, weaving through the branches above. He wipes the dirt from his hands, brushes the soil from his coat, and slings the shovel across his shoulder. His sack rests beside him, heavy, quiet. The night holds its silence, neither condemning nor forgiving. He turns away from the grave, his steps light on the soft earth. The fog parts before him, closes behind him. By the time he reaches the gate, the first hint of dawn begins to touch the horizon, a faint grayness bleeding into the black. He pauses once, looking back at the sleeping field. The graves are still, calm, eternal. He says nothing. Then with slow steps he disappears down the road, his figure swallowed by the fading night. The graveyard remains, the air stills once more. Only the scent of turned earth lingers and the faint trace of a man who came and went like a whisper, leaving behind nothing but silence. The silent servant, the groom of the stool. Inside a small chamber draped in velvet and quiet light, a man moves with the care of someone who has long practiced the art of silence. The room breathes warmth, the soft glow of candles flickering against the polished wood, the faint perfume of linen and cedar mingling in the air. Each motion he makes is deliberate, each sound measured. The creak of leather, the sigh of fabric, the whisper of footsteps on the carpet. All blend into a rhythm as calm as breathing. He is the king's servant, though no one beyond these walls would call him that aloud. His task is humble, strange, and sacred all at once. It is a duty that demands not pride, but grace. The space around him is private, touched by the quiet weight of intimacy and trust. He moves as though the walls themselves are watching, as though even the air must not be disturbed. The chamber is arranged with perfect care. The velvet curtains hang heavy, their folds deep and soft, filtering the pale sunlight that spills gently through the high window. A faint breeze stirs the drapes, carrying with it the scent of the gardens beyond, roses, dew, and the far-off murmur of fountains. Yet here, inside, time stands still. Every movement, every breath feels suspended, held in that quiet between duty and reverence. The man's hands are steady. They have learned the delicate precision required in this place. He knows how to move without sound, how to wait without impatience. The work is not one of skill, but of devotion. To perform the same task each day with care, to remain invisible while standing nearest to the throne. In his silence, there is a kind of dignity, an understanding that what he does, though unseen, shapes the rhythm of royal life. He adjusts the folds of fabric, straightens the silver fixtures, ensures that everything is exactly as it should be. The air carries the faint hum of stillness, a quiet so pure it seems almost holy. His breath is soft, his movements slower now, as though each action must align with the measured beat of the world itself. The velvet beneath his fingertips feels smooth, cool, eternal. In this chamber, words are rarely spoken. The walls have heard secrets that no one will ever repeat. The servant knows this silence well. It is both his companion and his shield. There is no room for thought of self here, only the endless rhythm of service. And yet somewhere beneath the calm surface of his composure, there lingers something tender. A small ache, the quiet weight of a life spent in shadow. The candles burn lower, the light deepens into gold. Outside, the sound of the court drifts faintly through the corridor. Laughter, footsteps, the murmur of distant conversation. None of it reaches this place fully. The room remains still, a world apart from the noise of crowns and politics, where the pace of life slows to a whisper. When his work is finished, the man steps back. His eyes move over every detail, the fabric, the polish, the symmetry of things. Nothing is out of place. The room is as it should be, calm, pure, untouched by time. He folds his hands before him, inhales once, and allows the quiet to settle. For a moment, he simply stands there, surrounded by the soft gleam of order. The breeze stirs again, light and cool, lifting the edge of the curtain. The fabric sways gently, brushing against the frame of the window like a sigh. Outside, the last light of day shimmers on the marble towers, casting the faint glow of dusk across the walls. He watches it, silent. The world beyond feels vast, unreachable. But here, within the velvet and wood and candlelight, he belongs. His task is done for now, and yet it will begin again tomorrow. The same motions, the same quiet, the same grace. As the curtain settles back into stillness, the man lowers his gaze, bows slightly toward the empty space before him, and steps away. His figure disappears into the soft glow of the hallway, leaving the chamber undisturbed, its silence whole once more. The hearth and silence, the medieval cook. Inside the vast stone kitchen, where the ceilings rise high and shadows cling to the corners, a single fire burns bright. The flames leap and sway, painting the walls with shifting gold. Smoke curls upward, threading through beams blackened by years of heat. The air is thick, with the scent of roasted meat, wood smoke, herbs, and the faint sweetness of bread. Every corner hums with life, though only one man moves within it, steady and sure. The cook walks back and forth, his steps soft but certain, the rhythm of someone who has done this countless times. His hands move without hesitation, stirring, chopping, tasting, turning. In one hand, a wooden ladle, in the other, a knife whose handle is worn smooth by time. Pots bubble over the fire, their lids trembling, releasing clouds of fragrant steam that blur the edges of the room. He leans close, squinting into the heat, and the sweat beads along his brow, glinting in the orange light. The sound of his labor fills the air, the soft hiss of boiling water, the sharp tap of blade on wood, the occasional crackle of dripping fat hitting flame. These sounds weave together into a quiet song, the music of work and warmth. Outside the kitchen walls, the castle is alive with distant noise, laughter, footsteps, the clinking of goblets. But here, there is only the pulse of the fire and the steady rhythm of a man at his craft. He moves like a conductor guiding an unseen orchestra. turning from pot to oven, from table to hearth, always in motion, never hurried. The scent changes as he works. The rich heaviness of stew gives way to the faint tang of baked bread, then to the sweetness of fruit simmering in wine. The air grows warmer, thicker, glowing with the soft breath of effort. His sleeves are rolled high, his arms strong and marked with tiny burns, each one a memory of nights like this. Time passes without measure. The candles burn low, their wax pooling at the base, while the great fire continues to roar. The cook pauses for a moment, wiping his hands on his apron, listening. The kitchen is never truly silent, even in stillness. It breathes with him, its heart beating in the fire's glow. He tastes a spoonful of broth, nods once, and adds a pinch of salt. Perfection is not grand. It is simple, patient, quiet. As the night deepens, the feast begins above, the echo of laughter spilling faintly down the corridor, the distant ring of plates and cheer. He does not join them, he does not need to. His joy, if it can be called that, lies in the rhythm of creation, in turning raw and simple things into something that warms the body, softens the spirit. He has fed kings and servants alike, but when the plates leave his hands, his work vanishes with them. That is enough. At last, the footsteps fade, the laughter grows faint, then dies away. The fire burns lower, its glow dim and drowsy. The cook moves slowly now, gathering what remains. Washing the knives, wiping the tables, pouring the cooled water into the drains. The kitchen grows quiet once more, its warmth settling into the stones. When the last pot is hung and the embers begin to sigh, he sits down beside the hearth. The chair creaks beneath him, the heat of the fire brushing gently against his face. He leans forward, elbows on his knees, hands clasped loosely. Before him, the flames flicker lower and lower, their light turning soft, then pale. The air smells faintly of ash and herbs. He watches until the last spark fades into grey. Around him, the silence of the castle stretches wide, calm and unbroken. The day has ended, but tomorrow will come. Another dawn, another fire, another meal to prepare. For now he breathes deeply, lets the warmth soak through his tired bones, and allows himself a small, secret smile. The kitchen exhales one final puff of smoke as the embers settle into ash. The man closes his eyes, the glow of the dying fire reflected faintly in his skin, and the long night embraces him in its quiet arms. The Stone and the Sun, the Quarryman. At the far edge of the village, where the hills rise like silent giants and the air tastes faintly of dust, the sound of iron striking stone rings out, steady, patient, echoing through the morning light. A single figure stands among the rocks, his shadow long against the pale ground. The hammer in his hand gleams briefly each time it lifts, then falls with a dull, sure rhythm. The stone splinters beneath the blow, fragments scattering at his feet. The quarry is alive with motion and stillness. All at once, dust drifts lazily through the air, glinting like pale gold where the sunlight cuts through it. The smell of dry earth and sharp limestone lingers, heavy but familiar. The man's breath comes slow and even, matching the rise and fall of his hammer. He does not rush. Each strike is deliberate, each sound a mark of time passing. Around him, the walls of the quarry stand tall and scarred, their faces carved by years of work. Sweat runs down his temples, tracing white lines through the thin film of dust on his skin. His hands, rough and calloused, grip the handle with practiced ease. Beneath his boots, the ground is littered with shards, pieces of stone that once clung together, now broken apart by will and effort. The sun climbs higher, the light growing sharper, more relentless. It glances off the rock, blinding at times, turning the air almost liquid with heat, but still the man works. The hammer rises and falls. The rhythm is endless, almost like breathing. In the distance, a bird calls, its cry carried away by the wind that sweeps through the open plain. The world beyond the quarry feels far away. The laughter of the market, the scent of bread, the sound of children playing, all softened into memory by the hum of labor. Here there is only stone and man, bound together by the slow patience of work. As the day stretches toward its height, the dust thickens. It clings to his clothes, his hair, his lashes. His muscles ache with a familiar heaviness, but he does not stop. The sound of the hammer becomes part of the air itself, echoing faintly off the quarry walls, then fading into the sky. He pauses only to lift a piece of rock, examining its grain beneath the sun, judging its worth before setting it aside. Each stone has its own secret, its own texture and strength, and he knows how to read them all. By afternoon, the light has softened, losing its sharp edge. Shadows begin to stretch long across the quarry floor, thin threads of coolness weaving through the dust. The man straightens, wiping his brow with the back of his arm. For a moment, he listens. The hammer quiet in his hand, the echo of his work still hanging faintly in the air. The world seems to hold its breath. Then slowly he lowers the tool, resting it against the ground. The wind rises gently, carrying away the lingering clouds of white dust. It brushes his face, cool and kind, after the long wait of heat. He breathes deeply, tasting the faint tang of stone and sunlight. All around him, the quarry glows in the amber light of late day, the rocks shining softly, the cracks filled with shadows. He gathers his tools one by one, placing them carefully into the worn leather sack at his side. Each carries the mark of years, the metal dulled but loyal. When the last hammer is packed away, he sits down upon a flat stone near the edge of the quarry. The earth beneath him is warm, humming faintly with the memory of the sun. He looks toward the horizon, where the sky is beginning to fade from blue to gold, then to rose. The hills, once harsh and bright, now soften under the touch of evening. The world quiets, the birds returning to their trees, the wind gentler, the air cooler. The man's breath slows with the light. In that stillness, surrounded by stone and fading sun, he finds a strange peace. The day is done. The earth has given enough, and so has he. As the last echo of the hammer fades completely, he watches the sun sink behind the ridges, its final glow painting the dust in silver. He does not move. The night will come soon, soft and dark, but for now he simply sits, a small figure among endless stone, resting in the quiet arms of the earth. The rider of dawn, the messenger. The road winds softly along the side of a mist-covered hill, narrow and pale beneath the dim light of early dawn. The world is hushed, wrapped in a veil of fog that blurs the edges of the trees and softens the distant fields. A lone horse moves through that quiet, its hooves striking the damp earth in a slow, steady rhythm. A heartbeat against the sleeping land. Upon its back sits a man cloaked in grey, his hood drawn low, his breath rising faintly in the chill air. The wind moves gently, carrying the scent of wet grass and old soil. It brushes through the bare branches, making them tremble with a sound like whispering silk. The rider does not look up. His eyes are fixed on the faint ribbon of road ahead, half lost in fog. Each turn, each slope is familiar. He has ridden this path many times before, through rain and frost, through night and wind, and always it feels the same. Endless, solitary, patient. In the pocket of his worn coat rests a single letter tied with twine and sealed with dark wax. Its weight is light, yet it carries purpose, the kind that outlives words. He feels it against his chest as he rides, steady and constant with the rhythm of his breath. To others, it may seem a small thing, but to him, it is everything. The reason he travels through the quiet hours when even the sun hesitates to rise. The horse moves with care along the uneven ground, its breath misting in the cold. The sound of hooves echoes softly against the hills, fading and returning like waves upon a distant shore. No birds sing, no voices call. Only the slow creak of leather, the faint jingle of a harness, the whisper of air moving past. The messenger rides on, his cloak gathering droplets of dew that shimmer faintly in the half-light. As the night thins, the fog begins to shift. The sky above turns from black to blue-grey, the first hint of dawn pressing gently at the horizon. The air lightens, and the shapes of trees emerge from the haze, tall, thin silhouettes that sway slightly as if waking from sleep. The road narrows, then opens again, curving through a small valley where the grass glows faintly with morning frost. He does not rush. The journey is not measured in speed, but in constancy. Each mile is a promise kept, each breath a quiet vow. There are dangers on these roads, thieves, storms, the sudden loneliness that can settle like a weight upon the heart. But he knows them all, and he fears none. The message must reach its end, just as the dawn must rise. That is his purpose, his duty, his peace. By the time the first full light of morning spills across the land, the wooden gate stands before him, tall, weathered, and faintly shining with dew. He reins in his horse, its sides damp with sweat, its breath coming slow and deep. For a moment, he listens. The world has begun to wake, a dog barking faintly somewhere beyond the gate, the clatter of a distant pail, the low hum of a new day beginning. He dismounts, his boots sinking slightly into the soft ground. The letter comes from his coat, its seal still unbroken, its surface clean despite the long ride. He holds it for a moment, feeling the cool wax beneath his thumb. Then he knocks. Once, twice. And when the door opens, he places it in waiting hands. No words are needed. His work is in the delivery, not the story. When the exchange is done, he turns quietly back to his horse. The light of dawn spills across the road now, chasing the last threads of fog into the trees. He mounts again, the saddle creaking softly, and with a gentle pull of the reins he sets off. The hooves strike the ground in their familiar rhythm, steady, fading, sure. As he rides away, the sun climbs higher, its warmth touching the hills. The figure of the rider grows smaller, blurred by light, until he is only a shadow moving through the morning, a messenger between worlds, forever passing, forever unseen. The heart of iron, the blacksmith. The forge glows red in the deep dusk, its heart alive with flame. The air hums with heat, slow, heavy, and breathing. Inside the small stone workshop, the light flickers against the walls, painting them gold and crimson. The sound of metal on metal fills the air, steady and resonant, each strike a pulse of strength against silence. Sparks leap from the anvil like scattered stars, rising, fading, and vanishing into the dark above. The blacksmith stands close to the fire, his silhouette cut sharp against the blaze. His hands, scarred and strong, lift the hammer with ease born of years. He swings and the sound rings out again, deep, clear, endless. Each blow shapes the glowing bar of iron, bending it toward purpose. The smell of smoke and hot steel thickens around him, mingling with the faint sweetness of burnt wood. His arms move in rhythm, not hurried, not slow. The dance of someone who knows the language of labor by heart. The forge roars softly, the flames bend and twist, licking at the iron, turning it from black to red, from red to white. The heat trembles in the air, wrapping the room in a living haze. Beads of sweat trace lines down his temples, glinting in the firelight before they fall onto the dusty floor. His breath is steady, matching the rhythm of the hammer. Rise, fall, spark, silence. The world beyond the walls ceases to exist. Here, there is only heat, sound, and motion. He pauses for a moment, lowering the hammer. The iron rests on the anvil, glowing like a piece of captured sunset. With tongs, he lifts it carefully, turning it in the light, studying its form. The shape is not yet right. He sees it in the curve, the uneven edge. He places it back upon the anvil, breathes once, and strikes again. The air bursts with sparks, showering his arms and chest. Tiny embers catch in his beard and vanish in an instant. The sound of his work carries far. Through the open door, into the evening air, over the quiet fields. The rhythm continues. Strike, turn, cool, and strike again. The iron begins to yield, soft beneath his persistence. It bends where he wills it, the fire and metal working together in a wordless conversation. The blacksmith listens with his hands, feeling the tension and release, the subtle language of heat and weight. There is patience in his every motion, a quiet reverence for the transformation unfolding before him. When the iron at last takes the form he intended, he lowers it into a barrel of water. Steam rises with a sharp hiss, curling around him in a white cloud. The sound fills the forge like a sigh, the cooling breath of the day's labor. He watches as the glow fades from the metal, its surface darkening, its strength settling. The fire hums softly beside him, the only light now flickering low and golden. He sets the piece aside, finished, perfect in its own humble way. Around him, the forge quiets, the hammer rests upon the anvil, the coals sink deeper into red, then to grey. The air cools slowly, though the warmth lingers like a memory that refuses to leave. The blacksmith wipes his hands on his apron, the rough fabric streaked with ash. For a while, he stands in silence, watching the last sparks fade into the air. His eyes catch the reflection of the dying fire, a faint glimmer of life still burning there. Outside, the sky has deepened to a soft indigo, the first stars trembling faintly above the roofline. He exhales, long and low. The forge crackles one final time, a whisper of farewell. He steps back, the heat brushing his face as though in gratitude. Around him, the world settles into calm. The night, cool. The air, gentle. The anvil gleams faintly in the dim light. The ashes shimmer like fine dust upon the floor. The day's noise has faded, leaving only warmth and stillness. The man turns toward the door, his steps slow, steady. Behind him, the forge glows softly. A red heart, still beating in the quiet dark. The last song, The Wandering Bard. Beside a small fire in the open field, where the grass bends gently under the whisper of the wind, a lone figure sits with a lute resting upon his knees. The night stretches wide around him, a velvet sky dotted with quiet stars, the air soft and cool upon the skin. The fire flickers low, its flame breathing slow, sending golden light that trembles against the folds of his worn cloak. He lifts his hand, fingers brushing over the strings, and a sound rises, and faint, delicate, like wind moving through the leaves. The melody drifts into the darkness, threading through the stillness like smoke. It carries the weight of old roads and older memories. Each note seems to shimmer for a heartbeat before fading into the hush of the night. His voice joins it, low and warm, roughened by dust and distance. The words tell of faraway places, of kings and knights, of love and loss, of people whose names have long since been forgotten. The song is not loud, it does not reach the sky or echo off the hills. It stays close to the ground, close to the fire, close to the heart. It is a voice meant for the dark, not to wake the world, but to soothe it. The firelight dances upon his face, catching the faint lines of age, the shadows beneath his eyes. His cloak is patched and faded, his boots worn thin, yet there is peace in his posture, a quiet contentment that only those who wander truly know. Around him, the night listens. The wind stills for a moment, as if pausing to hear the story unfold. The fields stretch endlessly beneath the moon, silver-touched and soft. Somewhere in the distance, a fox moves through the brush, its footsteps barely a whisper. The world feels suspended, balanced between sound and silence, between breath and memory. His fingers move again, gentle and sure, the strings humming beneath them. The tune changes, slower now, deeper. It feels like a memory unraveling, a song for the weary, a song for those who work unseen. The bard sings of the people forgotten by time, the farmer whose hands fed a kingdom, the builder who shaped cathedrals, the woman who spun thread by candlelight. His voice carries them all, giving life to their silence. The flame flickers low, shrinking to a small pool of gold. Shadows draw closer, wrapping him in their quiet. The melody softens until it feels more like a dream than a sound. He hums the last lines under his breath, letting them fade naturally, as though the song itself has grown tired and wishes to sleep. The final chord trembles in the air, then disappears, leaving behind only the faint crackle of embers and the sigh of the wind. He lowers the lute to his lap and gazes into the dying fire. The wood pops once, sending a small spray of sparks into the night. They rise and vanish, tiny stars swallowed by the dark. His eyes follow them, thoughtful, distant. The warmth of the fire lingers against his face, soft and fading. The world around him is quiet once more. The night stretches deep and wide, unbroken. He leans back, drawing his cloak tighter, the rough fabric brushing against his cheek. His eyelids grow heavy. The song still lingers somewhere in the air, faint, invisible, as if the earth itself hums it softly to sleep. He exhales slowly. The fire lowers to a dull red glow. The grass sways with the wind's gentle touch. He closes his eyes, his head tilting slightly toward his shoulder. The night watches, patient and kind. Soon his breathing evens. Slow, steady, peaceful. The last spark fades, the fields fall silent once again. And under the silver gaze of the moon, the bard sleeps, his song resting in the air like a whispered promise that will drift with the wind until morning. The breath of time, good night. Night has returned, soft and gentle, wrapping the quiet village in its dark, tender arms. The sky is deep and endless, scattered with pale stars that shimmer like thoughts half-remembered. The houses rest beneath their roofs of straw, their chimneys sighing faint threads of smoke that drift into the still air. Somewhere far away, an owl calls once, and then the world settles again into silence. The wind moves slowly through the sleeping fields, brushing against the hedges, the fences, the branches heavy with dew. It carries with it the scent of earth and wood, the memory of fires now dimmed to glowing embers. It slips between the cracks of shutters, whispering softly against the windows, as if to remind the world that everything is safe now, that it may rest. Inside each small home, the warmth lingers. The day's work has ended. The hammer quiet, the wheel still, the song faded. The people have closed their eyes, their breathing calm and deep. The light of the moon finds its way through the cracks, touching the corners of rooms, the folds of blankets, the faces turned toward dreams. Time moves differently here. Slow, patient, like the rhythm of a heart too tired to hurry. Outside, the river glimmers faintly, its surface silver under the moonlight. The air hums with quiet life, the distant rustle of grass, the murmur of unseen creatures finding their rest. And through it all, the night breathes, in and out, in and out, the steady pulse of a world that has not forgotten peace. So now, let go. Let the weight of the day slip gently from your shoulders. Let the hush of this ancient world cradle you, the warmth of stillness hold you close. Breathe with the night, slow and easy. Sleep well, my friend. Dream softly. Tomorrow waits, patient and bright.